And sometimes you look at your life and you feel like your life is failing. You feel like you are going below expectation. You feel like you're underperforming. You feel like your life is low quality, or you feel like your life, you don't have enough. And you wonder, how did I came to this point? What happened? Why is my life like this? But you see, one thing that you need to realize is your life is whatever it is right now, but it can change. You don't have to worry about where you are or where you have been. You have to be more concerned about your future, because the past is the past. It cannot be changed, but the future can be changed. Do you know that every decision you make right now is creating your tomorrow? Do you know that the life that you're going to live tomorrow is based on the decisions that you are making right now? Do you know that the choices you make is a lot to do with the quality of life you are living, the kind of things that are happening in your life? You see, there are people who think that life is just automatic, things just happen, everything is beyond our control. There is so many things that you are controlling right now just by the decisions you are making. When you wake up in the morning, you make a decision on what you're going to do the whole day. You make a decision on the type of food you're going to eat, the type of clothes you're going to wear, the type of people you're going to talk to, the type of things you're going to listen to, the type of things you're going to be watching, the type of things you're going to read. All these things are molding your life. You know, they are influencing your decisions, your character, the outcomes of things. So we have more control over our life more than we can ever think. You can decide to pray or not to pray. You can decide to read the Bible or not to read the Bible. You can decide to walk in righteousness or walk in sin. You can decide to heed to temptation, or you can decide to resist temptation. You can decide to do the right thing, or you can decide to do the selfish thing. You see, everything is a choice. And these choices is what making your life right now. Your life is a product of the choices you are making. If you don't want the life you are looking at right now, you just have to change the way you decide things. You just have to start making the right choices. If you don't like how everything is turning out, then just change the choices you are making, because the choices you are making are creating the life that you see. You cannot just complain and cast blame on other people when most of your life is based on the decisions you are making. If you want it to change, you can just decide to change. You can decide to change the type of choices you make. Do you know that right now you can just decide, you know, I just want to spend at least an hour a day in prayer? You can do that. There is no one who can stop you from doing that. You can decide that I'm going to buy a Bible and start reading and start doing what the Bible says. You can do it if you want to. You can decide to start walking in love. You can decide to start being generous rather than spending most of your money on yourself all the time. You can decide, you know what, this time I'm not going to buy a new iPhone. I'm not going to buy a new TV, a new car. I'm just going to give to an orphanage. I'm just going to donate. I'm just going to do things that involve loving people. You can decide that this weekend I'm just going to volunteer at an orphanage. I'm going to volunteer at a homeless shelter. You can decide to do that. There's so many things you can decide to do because it's your life. You have so much control over it. You can decide to be fasting, to be praying. You can decide so many things. But you see, those decisions is what is molding your life. And if you want to change your life, you just change the decisions you are making. Maybe instead of making worldly decisions all the time, make spiritual decisions. Do you know that there is always this war that is happening? See, the Bible says your flesh and your spirit are always at war. Your flesh wants you to feed it, and your spirit is longing for you to feed your spirit. So at every time, you can decide, do I want to pray or do I want to watch a movie? And you decide which you pick. If you watch a movie, you are feeding the flesh, and the flesh is going to be happy. If you pray, you're going to feed your spirit, but the flesh is not going to be happy, because the flesh doesn't want you to pray. The spirit wants you to pray. The flesh wants you to spend time watching movies and shows and stuff, but the spirit wants you to spend time in prayer. And then you decide what you want. And the more you give in to one side, the harder it is to do the other thing. You see, if you are spending more time in the flesh, it becomes harder and harder to pray. If you're spending more time in prayer, you start losing interest in the things of the world. That's why you notice that there are people who are prayerful, and you wonder, how come they can make time in prayer, make time for reading the word? Because they're doing it more. The more you do something, the more you get into it. The less you do something, the less you crave for it. And maybe right now you are in the flesh. You are in the flesh so much that you don't have any appetite for praying, for reading the Bible. It's so hard for you to do those things. But you see, you can start somewhere. It's going to be hard to start something, but if you go into it and you say, I want to start living a life of prayer, a life in the Word, I want to do that. I want to change. And your life will transform. Because you see, these things that you are doing create a new life. You can literally change everything about yourself just by changing the choices you are making. And so today, you have this choice. Do you want to continue living a life of failure, a life of carnality, or do you want to get hold of a spiritual life? Do you want to compromise all the time, or do you want to be victorious all the time? And it's all based on the choices that you are willing to make. You see, a human being has free will. That means you have the power to decide whatever you want to do with your life. No one can violate your free will. I mean, people can try to manipulate you, do things, but at the end of the day, you have to make your own decisions. And your free will is what decides the person you are. That's why the Bible says everyone is going to be judged by their own actions. Because you are making the decisions. There's no one to blame. You are making the decision. You are deciding what you want to do. And you can decide to live a life of victory. You can decide to live a life that is devoted to God. You can decide to live a life of faith. And your life will be totally different from whatever you see right now. Change is a decision away. You see, change doesn't just happen at once. Change is a series of decisions that you start making. If you start making the right decisions, you'll see change in your life. So, do you really want to change? Do you really want to move from failure to victory? Start making the right choices. God bless you.